The word parody comes from the ancient Greek parodia. It literally translates as a song sung alongside another. It wasn't about throwing tomatoes from the cheap seats, it was a parallel creation. When Aristophanes mocked the high tragedies of his day, or when Cervantes wrote Don Quixote to roast the bloated, over-serious chivalric romances of the 1600s, they weren't just writing jokes, they were doing surgery on the culture. For most of human history, parody was an art form wielded by people who deeply understood and respected the medium they were tearing apart. Buster Keaton mocked the melodramas of the 1910s by playing them with a stone-cold deadpan face. Mel Brooks didn't just spoof Universal monster movies with Young Frankenstein, he shot in black and white, tracked down the original 1931 lab equipment and meticulously recreated the cinematography. It was an act of profound love for the genre. But somewhere along the line, Hollywood completely forgot how to do this. They traded the scalpel for a sledgehammer, and then we traded the sledgehammer for a conveyor belt of cheap algorithmic sludge.
What? We're just playing with my monkey.
But to understand how we got to the bottom, we have to look at the top.
Nice beaver.
Thank you. I just had it stuffed.
Let me help you with that.
The golden era of the modern spoof, the Abraham Zucker years, Airplane, Naked Gun, and the tightly focused surgical strikes of Top Secret and Hot Shots.
Kiss me like you've never kissed me before.
Why do these movies still work? Because they passed the narrative acid test. If you strip away the inflatable autopilot, the naked wrestling and the background gags, you are left with an actual movie. The comedy doesn't exist in a vacuum, it orbits characters. Remember these names? Ted Stryker, Frank Drebin, Nick Rivers, Topper Harley, Dewey Cox. These aren't just vessels for punchlines, they're protagonists with genuine, recognisable human motivations. Stryker is a traumatised war veteran trying to win back the love of his life. Drebin is a dedicated cop trying to clear his partner's name. Topper Harley is haunted by his father's legacy. The world around them is completely insane, but they don't know that. They play it entirely straight. They believe they are in a gritty procedural or a high-stakes blockbuster, and that earnestness is the anchor that allows them to fly. This brings us to the apex mountain of the genre. Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox Story. Walk Hard is the peak because it didn't just mock a genre, it annihilated it. It took the formula of the musical biopic, Ray, Walk the Line, and deconstructed it so thoroughly that Hollywood essentially couldn't make a serious biopic for a decade without audiences laughing at the tropes. It worked because it was a genuinely good film, the original songs slapped, John C. Reilly gave a phenomenal performance, and Dewey Cox was a tragic figure desperately seeking his father's approval after accidentally cutting his brother in half with a machete. It was structural perfection. But then the Dark Ages began. It's the epic movie, disaster movie, the later scary movie. Name the protagonist of epic movie. You can't, because there's no characters, there is no plot. It's just an exhausting feature-length sketch compilation built on the and then principle. And then they run into Willy Wonka, and then they run into Jack Sparrow. The narrative structure was completely abandoned in favour of a lazy game of pop culture bingo. It's just cynical, empty recognition. Modern parody targets the skin, it targets whatever fleeting, hyper-specific internet trend was happening the week the script was written. It confuses a meme with a punchline. Think about the actual math of Hollywood. A movie takes roughly 18 to 24 months to write, shoot and release. If your entire comedic set piece relies on a viral TikTok dance, a celebrity court case, or some internet slang from 2024, by the time that film hits theatres in 2026, it isn't comedy anymore. It's cinematic necrophilia. You're watching an archaeological dig of dead trends. The movie is painfully, embarrassingly outdated before the projector even turns on. Which brings us to the landscape today. We just saw a new Naked Gun actually work because it respected the underlying IP and remembered that situational comedy, character motivation and original gags have to carry the weight.
We back!
But now we're gonna go and see Scary Movie 6. The Wayans brothers are back, and Keenan Ivory Wayans understood the assignment on the very first Scary Movie. Cindy Campbell was a real character, played with absolute terrified earnestness by Anna Faris, surviving a sturdy, recognisable plot structure.
Right, I just want you to look at some photos, tell me what you think.
The new one, the trailer seems to be leaning into this shotgun blast of recent horror movies and giving them a twist. So, you want the truth?
You can't handle the truth. No truth handler, you. Bah! I deride your truth handling abilities.
Will you get to the point?
Getting old sucks.
Yeah, the truth is exactly what I was afraid of. Almost. Let's be fair and give it its absolute bare minimum of credit. Unlike the dark ages of epic movie, it does actually have a loose plot. It technically passes the narrative acid test. Honestly, it's a slight step up from the torture of Scary Movie 3, 4 and 5. There's even a clever meta moment where the Wayans brothers scold Anna Faris and Regina Hall for actually making those sequels without them. But make no mistake, this is just another Scary Movie 3. It feels like a Frankenstein monster of a script. There's 5 different writers, and it feels like maybe 2 of them written part of it and they actually respected the craft. When it leans into classic visual comedy, there's glimmers of hope. But look, when it comes to its primary job, being a horror parody, it completely falls apart. The horror jokes are awful. They fall right into the trap we talked about earlier, trying to spoof movies that have already evaporated from the pop culture consciousness, making the whole thing feel desperately dated. Instead of targeting tropes, we get a lazy checklist. Carmen Electra cameo, of course, but there's a handful of anti-trans, anti-woke, anti-ICE jokes that don't even function as comedy, they just sit there on the screen, flat and lifeless. They hope the audience will laugh out of recognition rather than shock value. Last year, the new Naked Gun proved that a modern spoof can still actually work if you put the effort in. Scary Movie 6 is nowhere near that caliber, and that is the most frustrating part of this experience. Holding film comedy to a higher standard, knowing what they're capable of, I can see there is something in this movie. There's a spark there, but it's entirely buried under the bad habits, the cheap shots, and the lazy writing we've been diagnosing this entire video. Look, the art of parody will never truly be dead, but this entry is just another shuffling corpse.
Would you like to know more?
Movies, popcorn.